fine. I think. That looks about right. Hopefully. Yes, there we go. Oh, hello, Johnny. Thank you for popping in. So, things are tense and exciting and also sad. Last chapter was some ups and downs. Like, just, you know, if you've been following Waltz's route and you don't want spoilers, obviously, stop here, go back, watch previous chapters. So with that said, spoilers. Yes, so we have an interesting situation where Lusette's mother, Hildir, has been revived, but I think the theory is she's actually not as strong, because the Tenebrarum has already chosen Lucette as its new bearer and has kind of rejected her. So there's some planning involving that, and also Lusette's dad died and it was super sad, but then she and Waltz had a super cute romantic scene where they got together, and so it was a little roller coaster, emotional roller coastery. But yeah, let's see. Let me turn that down a tint. Alright, so chapter 8 is the third to last chapter, so because each route has 10 chapters, so things are going to continue to be high octane. Probably right up until the end. So let us get started. It has been almost 3 weeks since Mother's revival, and yet I have not heard or seen anything of her. Lucette, thinking to herself, what are you planning to do, Mother? Parfait told me before that the Tenebrarum had already chosen me as its next bearer. Lucette, thinking to herself, does that have anything to do with why Mother is still in hiding? It is impossible not to feel the weight of my new responsibility. I have not yet fully accepted that I am now the bearer, but I cannot run from this responsibility for long. Lucette, thinking to herself, the Tenebrarum bearer's duty is to work alongside Parfait to balance the light and darkness of the kingdom. That balance had only just begun mending before Mother's sudden revival. For nights I have been wondering if there is some other way to stop Mother without fighting her. A small part of me hopes that perhaps Mother can still change. I think about that, and then I remember how Mother so heartlessly killed Father as soon as she had been revived. She was sleeping for 4 years, but that did not change her mind. Even now, I can only assume that she still means to make this kingdom suffer. It feels as if my heart is twisting itself into a knot. I gasp when a bright spark fizzles to life in my hands. Lucette, shocked. I clench and unclench my hands, taking deep breaths to calm myself. Ever since I started trying to work with magic, it has been activating on its own. Whenever I feel any sort of deep emotion, some type of electricity sparks in my hands. It is all I can do to try and keep my emotions in check. Yeah, like, gosh, that's on extra hard mode for her right now, what with, like, you know, it's almost like she's been having a really emotional time of things lately, so. Oh man, there's direct sunlight sideways on my hair here, so if you're wondering what this odd lighting is, it's a patch of direct sun which will soon go away as the sun continues going down. Oof, but yeah, no, it's interesting because I've said this before. The previous route, Fritz's route, which is like the second most spoilery in the game, there were a lot of outcomes that I didn't like. Like, I love Fritz as a love interest, but like there was a lot of stressful stuff in that route. So I'm really hopeful that maybe a better ending can be achieved. Like, you know, we got the good romance ending, but like the ending for the kingdom was like just destroying magic entirely, and I did not love that. So I'm hoping that Waltz's route will have some kind of better solution. And things are already way better for their side, because in the previous run, the Tenebrarum hadn't rejected Hildir, probably because Lucette had not yet rejected Hildir. Like, she wasn't prepared. She didn't... There wasn't... She hadn't been told about her mother yet, and there was also nothing that was, like, quite so obvious as her mother wakes up and immediately tries to kill her father. So, like, it was a slower realization for her, and also I think she was... The revival process was not interrupted, whereas here I think it was interrupted a little bit before it was completed. So there's a lot of reasons why in this version the Tenebrarum chose Lucette, whereas it didn't in the previous route. But that definitely puts them in a dramatically better position, and also the solution from the last route simply would not work now, because before it was Hildir was still the Tenebrarum bearer, and so Parfait was able to sacrifice herself to, like, take out Hildir. But now she's not the Tenebrarum bearer, so that option is off the table, which is nice, actually, because I don't think Angiel should have to lose magic forever. So, you know, there's a reason Waltz's route is the true route. It's the one where you get both the most exposition and, like, I mean, it's the final route in terms of plot. Like, it is the most spoilery, the most exposition-full. And I call it the true route because, generally speaking, it's the last one in story order, and that usually implies that that is... True route is a thing in Otome games. Anyone who knows Otome games, I'm sure very much knows this, but, like, the general idea behind the true route is, as it says on the tin, it's like, you know, you did all of these other routes, and they were, like, alternate versions of what could have happened. This is what actually happened in the story, is the idea behind the true route. So we've seen all of the alternate versions of what could have happened, and so this is the final, this is this game's equivalent of the true route, I'd say. Anyway, sorry for totally tangenting there. So Lucette is working on keeping her magic or her emotions in check because it's making her magic go kind of wonky. Lucette thinking to herself. Oh, and this is also the first time we've really seen Lucette with magic, which is interesting. Oh, fair enough, Johnny. That I can see that being kind of a general visual novel trend, but, like, it's just the traditional Otome setup is, like, you do each route, like, each love interest has their own route, and then there will be a final route that you usually have to play the other routes to unlock, which is the, like, true route. Yeah, fair enough, Johnny. Okay, so, like, that's true. There are more games doing that now, but it is a visual novel dating sim classic, is all I am saying. I did forget, straight up, that true routes existed outside of Otome games. But that's, you know, it's that thing that your brain does when it's like, yes, this is only a thing in this context, and then somebody's like, but what about these other 3 contexts? And then you go, oh yeah! Because brains are weird. Brains are weird. The last thing I want is to oh, right. One last thought, which is basically any game that has routes you can unlock. Yeah, Johnny, you're right. Rare is the case where the last ending you unlock isn't the true ending. So, alright, now back to game. So, Lucette thinking to herself. The last thing I want is to accidentally burn down the Marchen, or hurt anyone inside of it. Delora and Waltz have both agreed to start teaching me how to use my magic. For the last few days, the forest near the Marchen has served as the training grounds. Parfait constantly cloaks the Marchen in powerful magic to keep our presence hidden from Mother and the other witches. It allows us to use our magic without worrying about being tracked. Still, Parfait's constant spell has considerably weakened her. Delora and Waltz tried to convince her not to cast it in the first place, but Parfait insisted that we remain as close to the Tenebrarum as possible, rather than move somewhere safer. She told us all that I need to be close to the Tenebrarum as its bearer. As far as we all know, the crystal is still unmoved in the palace. I know that the chance I will face Mother in a battle of magic is extremely high. Although I fear the outcome, I have no choice but to consider the possibility. Time is running out, and I do not have the luxury of waiting much longer. I must decide what I must do. Lucette, thinking to herself. They all believe that I am the only one who can stand up to Mother, even with so little practice. Last night, I told Parfait that I would make my decision the next day, and that I would tell everyone what I had decided. Now is the time for that decision. When I step into the reception room, everyone is already there waiting for me. I catch Waltz's eyes first. He cocks his head ever so slightly, his lips stretching into a warm smile. I nod at him and smile back. I take a deep breath before facing everyone. Lucette, thinking to herself. This is the first time I have spoken properly with everyone since my father's death. Out loud. Before I tell you of my decision, I want to apologize for everything that I have done, and for everything that has happened. Mother is back because I was a coward, and Father died because I was weak. Ophelia. Lucette. Ophelia is the first to respond. Ophelia. It wasn't your fault, dear. I stare down at the ground with my hands clenched. I try to will my anger away, but only manage a few deep, stilling breaths before I look up again. Lucette. I brought Mother back because I feared that disobedience would have them kill my father. Yet, in the end, he was still... The image of Father's smiling face flashes through my mind. I clear my throat. Lucette, out loud. I promised him that I would protect Angiel, and that is what I intend to do. I will do everything I can to protect our kingdom. Delora. Spoken like a true queen. The words are shocking, even more so when they come out of Delora's mouth. Lucette, thinking to herself. Queen? I guess that was a bit more of a queen? No, actually, I don't like that term. Like, I'm not sure how to read that. I mean, she's thinking it to herself, but it's, like, definitely a level of shock of, like, queen? Because I don't think she's realized that with her father dead, that makes, and her being the crown princess, she's the queen now. Delora. Why do you seem so surprised, princess? You know you're next in line for the throne. Lucette, thinking to herself. I hadn't even thought about being the next ruler. I am not even sure I have the right qualities. Can I really do this? King Gennaro. I wanted to see you become queen. Protect our kingdom. Lucette, thinking to herself. I cannot let Father down. I have to do this for his sake, but the kingdom comes before the crown. I will only take the crown if I can win it back. Oh wait, I was saving things in a new place because I wanted to go back to that. I still haven't. So... I think I will need your help is the better call than I will have to rely on all of you. Because I'll have to rely on all of you. To me, it implies that she intends to have them do more of the work. I mean, maybe not, but I could be reading too much into it, but... I will need your help feels more like she's driving the train and just asking them for their assistance. Lucette. I am still weak, but that will not stop me from training every day until we face Mother. I hope I am not asking for too much, but I hope you will all fight with me to protect our kingdom together. Waltz. You didn't even need to ask us that, Lucette. Delora. It goes without saying that we'll help you in any way that we can. Parfait. I second that. We'll all be here for you. I smile at everyone gathered. Yes! Correct choice! Lucette, thinking to herself. So this is what it feels like. What it feels like to be trusted and needed. It feels good. Out loud. It will be hard, but we will stop Mother. Together we might stand a chance against her. Delora. Hildir is strong, but not invulnerable. Parfait. Silence. Parfait looks at me, eyebrows furrowed. Parfait. You know what we must do to stop Hildir, Princess? I feel a tinge of pain in my chest, but force my eyes to hold Parfait's gaze. I look into Parfait's eyes with determination. Lucette. I do. Later that same day, I resume my training with Waltz, while Parfait and Delora try to come up with a plan. Jurian and Garland return to the town to listen for any information regarding Mother and Alcaster, or any happenings in the palace. I force myself to focus only on learning how to use my magic as fast as I can. Today, Waltz is continuing his lessons on barriers. He has been teaching me the same spells for the past week, emphasizing my protection. Waltz. Let's review the types of barriers I've been trying to teach you. Do you remember them? Lucette. One shields you from harm, while the other deflects a spell back at the caster. Waltz. Powerful spells cannot be deflected. That's why you need to be able to tell which spells can be reflected and which cannot. Otherwise, you'll end up using the wrong barrier. A single mistake can cost you your life. Lucette. So, how do I know what barrier I must use? Waltz. Allow me to demonstrate. You've seen me cast my spells many times, so you should be able to tell the difference between them. Lucette. But... Waltz. For now, let's just think of it as another game. Just take a guess. Who knows? You might actually give me the right answer. I'll give you a nice little treat if you do. Lucette. A treat? Thinking to herself. He always did like treating me in town. Waltz. It's special this time. Lucette, thinking to herself. I wonder if this is just like those other sweets he treated me to before. I'm wondering if he's like, if his plan is to kiss her. I mean, maybe it'll be nice if he gives her a sweet. I'd be perfectly happy if he gave her sweets, but I could also see it being like, your treat is a kiss from me. They are basically dating now. Waltz snaps his fingers, and a glimmering but faint purple light appears around him. It is faded at first, but slowly becomes brighter as he moves his hands. Lucette, thinking to herself. Usually, the effects of Waltz's magic are immediate, but this spell is taking longer to cast. Is it stronger magic? I remember Waltz telling me before that it takes a lot of energy to cast a strong barrier. Does that apply to offensive spells as well? Waltz. Question time. What kind of barrier should you use? Alright, using Lucette's own analysis, it sounded to me like he was doing a powerful enough spell that Deflector wouldn't work, so... Lucette, thinking to herself. The slow casting time makes this seem like a powerful spell, and powerful spells cannot be deflected. Surely this is the right answer. Waltz. Is that your final answer? My confidence is thwarted by sudden indecision. Lucette. Waltz. Lucette, in the middle of battle, you won't have the luxury of time to think about your decision. I look at him and nod. Lucette, thinking to herself. It should be the right answer. Waltz. That is correct. Now, prepare your shield. Lucette, shocked, thinking to herself. I have never shielded myself from a powerful spell. What if my barrier breaks? Waltz. Trust in yourself, Lucette. I do as instructed and stretch out my hands to cast a barrier to shield myself. Waltz. Here I go. My hands shake as Waltz's spell collides with my barrier. I plant my feet to hold myself upright. Lucette, thinking to herself. Such a strong spell! When the light dissipates, I look up hesitantly, before smiling triumphantly when I see that my barrier is still in one piece. Lucette, thinking to herself. I did it! I feel like this is not a common smile for her. Like, there's her cute little smile, but, like, this is slightly different. It's just a general happy smile. I feel like that's a uncommon expression. So, added treat. Waltz. Well done, little star. I eye the barrier again. My heart sinks when I notice new cracks in its surface. Lucette. My barrier. Waltz. Don't fret, Lucette. Even the strongest barrier will obtain cracks after being hit by a powerful spell. That is when you set up your next barrier. Your opponent will usually make the mistake of assuming you have the same shield up, and attack you with a weaker spell to try to break it. You can be ready for them with a new barrier. I nod. Waltz. I'm impressed at how fast a learner you are. Lucette. Yeah, that's her cute little smile. That's what I was talking about when I was referring to that one, but I liked that other just sort of open mouth smile. That was nice. Anyway, Lucette. I have a good teacher. Waltz. I think you're just a good student. Lucette. So, when will you teach me offensive spells? Waltz. I don't think you need to learn those quite yet. The witches we're up against will probably stick to offense, which means protecting yourself will be even more vital than trying to attack them. Lucette. Yeah, I think Waltz is trying to protect her, but it's like, buddy, she'll be even safer if you teach her a full range of spells. Anyway, one second, I'm gonna turn the light on. Lucette. Sorry, let me try that again. Alright, Lucette. I told everyone that I would fight, and I meant it. If I need to hurt someone to save someone, I will do it. I look him in the eyes, my gaze unwavering. Lucette. I still need to learn, even if it is just one offensive spell, Waltz. What if I need to help you? I cannot do that by just conjuring barriers. I will not lose anyone else this time, Waltz. I do like this, because I feel like even more than in Karma's Root, where she learns sword fighting, like, Lucette is, like, really learning how to, like, actually fend for herself here, as opposed to just coming along and having everyone else do the fighting for her. Which, like, you know, is fair when she has absolutely nothing. Like, you know, the one where she's trained in the sword, she's not, like, super helpful, but, like, she can at least try defend herself a bit. Because, you know, she has at least done some training. But in most of the other ones, like, she comes along, but, like, there is not a whole lot she can do, either offensively or defensively. I mean, that's not to say it was useless to have her along. Like, in a lot of things, like, there ended up being some kind of confrontation that it was useful to have her at, like, verbal or what have you. But, like, it is really cool to be like, ah, yes, Lucette will be a full fighting member of the team this time. I look up at Waltz, and my heart aches at the sight of his frown. Lucette. I do not want to lose you, either. That is why I need to be as strong as possible. I want to be able to protect you. Waltz makes his way over to me and in just a few strides and pulls me into his arms. Waltz. I will do what I can to save you from a repeat of what happened last time, Lucette. Lucette. But... Waltz. You won't lose me. Waltz pulls back and looks at me, his expression warm and gentle. Waltz. Here is your treat, as promised. Lucette. Huh? Ha 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 ha! I was so right! I mean, it was a little cliche, so it was maybe a little obvious, but, like, the treat was, in fact, a kiss. Waltz bends down to place his lips over mine in a soft kiss. Lucette. Shocked. Extremely blushy. It is a short-lived kiss, but it is still enough to make me breathless. Waltz. You're all red, Lucette. Lucette. That was your special treat? Waltz. Disappointed? I quickly press my cheek to his chest to keep him from seeing my tinted cheeks. Lucette. No. I'm trying to read her as properly tsundere, because that was some extreme tsundere ending. It's like, that was your treat? Oh, disappointed? No. Just saying. It's good tsundere energy. Waltz. Let's call it a day. You need to rest. Lucette. Teach me an offensive spell first. Waltz. Lucette, we've been practicing since morning, and it will be dark soon. You already know that overusing your magic will take a toll on your body, especially when you're still getting accustomed to it. I shake my head at Waltz, determined. Lucette, thinking to herself. Using my magic before did wear me out, but now I can handle more. What kind of bearer would I be if I couldn't handle this much? Out loud. Please? I am begging you, Waltz. He eventually sighs and rubs the back of his neck. Waltz. Okay, but just one spell. Lucette. Thank you. He steps away from me. Waltz. What I will teach you is a lightning spell. It's not for the faint-hearted. It will inflict excruciating pain on your enemies, and also potentially paralyze them. I nod as Waltz continues his explanation. Though I try my best to conjure the electricity, I have only managed sparks at the end of the day. I collapse onto my bed. I can feel the exhaustion lying over me like a blanket. I can barely move my arms after trying the lightning spell over and over again. Lucette. I need to learn that spell as soon as possible. I yawn and then close my eyes. Sleep comes easy that night. Pretty tired, I imagine. Hildir. Lucette. Lucette. That voice. Hildir. Come back to me, my sweet princess. Lucette. No. Hildir. You have no choice in this, little one. You will come back to me, whether you like it or not. I will be waiting for you. I sit up in my bed, my heart pounding loudly in my chest and in my ears. Lucette, out loud. A dream? I wipe unexpected beads of sweat from my forehead as I calm myself with steady breaths. Out loud. No. I will never go back to you, Mother. I end up waking later than usual, a result of my practice from yesterday. When I step inside the reception room, I see Jurian and Garland speaking with Parfait, Delora, and Waltz. There is a definite solemnity to the air. They all turn to look at me as I approach. Lucette. Did something happen? Jurian. Princess, the palace made an announcement today. They are issuing a higher bounty on your head for murder and treason. Lucette. What? Garland. It was very strange, what with the fact that they haven't even bothered to look for you since that day. Jurian. Something must have happened that forced them to suddenly act. Delora soon gathers everyone in the room to discuss Jurian and Garland's discovery. The only one who is not here is Annis, who is in town buying ingredients for the Marchand's meals. Emmeline. But Lucette didn't kill anyone. Isn't there some way to convince them? Lucette. Alcester is in power now, and the people favor him. Thinking to herself. Now that everyone remembers who I am, they are once again frightened of me. Out loud. No one would listen to you. Emmeline. They haven't seen how much you've changed. If only they could understand your circumstances, then they might be more sympathetic. Lucette, shocked. I look at Emmeline in surprise and find myself smiling at her. Lucette. Thank you for your kind words.
I turn to everyone once again and frown. Lucette. Once again, I am the one putting everyone in danger. I am so sorry. Thinking to herself. If any one of them gets hurt, I will never forgive myself. Waltz takes my hand and squeezes it. The simple gesture does wonders to calm my nerves. Waltz. Don't be too hard on yourself, Lucette. We've told you already. We want to help you. We're in this together. Ophelia. He's right. I am not sure if there is much Rod, Emmeline, or I could do, but we will definitely support you until the end. Lucette, thinking to herself. Before I might have cringed at her words, but now Ophelia has nothing to gain from pretending. Emmeline. Mother is right. We're a family, and we will not abandon you. Ophelia and Emmeline are both smiling at me warmly. Even Rod seems to have a ghost of a smile on his face. Lucette. Thank you.
So she doesn't get, like, I like to pretend, at least pretend in some of the other routes that she will get proper time to, like, bond with her father. But in this route, she doesn't really get that. She gets to resolve everything in one go and then lose him, which sucks. But at least she hasn't lost the rest of her family. And that's... I appreciate, like, that they're still, like, hey, look, you may be our you know, in Ophelia's case, stepdaughter / in Emmeline and Rod's stepsister, but, like, that still makes you family. Like, I just, especially, I don't know, it's a thing sometimes, you know, you get the evil stepmother trope, and I love that this is the opposite of that Ophelia is like, I married your father, you are my daughter, that is how this works, and I am going to treat you as such, and you know, just moving forward, you are one of my children. And, like, even before all of this, like, you know, when Lucette wasn't prepared or willing to accept that, like, she still tried. Like, at the time, Lucette couldn't believe her, but she still tried to be just warm and open and welcoming so that, you know, Lucette, if she was ever ready to accept that it would have, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like in all of the routes, there is a lot of hope for her becoming closer with her family, like her whole family. And I still just think it's really freaking tragic that her dad dies in this route. Because it's the only route where, although she did manage to kind of fix everything in one go, it's the only route where she won't be able to maintain a relationship with him. But it's still better than Fritz's route, because the loss of, like, losing one of Jurian and Garland is awful. And, like, then losing Delora and Parfait, so, like, hopefully Lucette will get her wish and no one else in this route will die. It's already sad enough that her father died. I feel like that's enough tragedy for this route. Maybe she will also lose her mother, but she kind of already has, so... That is her birth mother, Hildir. Like... Yeah, she lost her mother a while ago. Metaphorically. And so if it also happens literally, it won't change a lot. Anyway. I see we're getting... So this being the very last route, spoilers abound for all the other routes. Jurian. I apologize for bringing this up, Karma, but is it possible to ask for reinforcements from Brigantia? Lucette. Brigantia? Brigantia is one of our neighboring kingdoms. We have never had close ties, mostly because Brigantia's king tends to stay away from our personal and political affairs. They have always refused to engage in any sort of violent affairs. We all look at Karma, who stands there looking sullen. Karma. Silence. After a few moments, he lets out an exasperated sigh. Karma. You want me to ask the Kingdom of Brigantia for help? Lucette, thinking to herself. I remember Karma mentioning before that he was part of a noble family, but I did not expect him to be from Brigantia. What is he doing here?
And how could he possibly ask for help from a king? Karma. The king does not participate in battles or skirmishes. It seems unlikely that he would provide support. Jurian. He wouldn't provide assistance? Not even if his own son asked him? Lucette. Son? You mean... Karma crosses his arms and sighs. Karma. Well, I suppose there's no use hiding it anymore. Yes, I am the son of King Clement of Brigantia. Judging from the sudden quiet in the room, it seems that Parfait, Delora, Waltz, and the knights were the only ones that knew. Ophelia. You're the Lost Prince? Lucette. The Lost Prince? Ophelia. Gennaro told me that King Clement's oldest son had disappeared just a year ago. Karma. There were circumstances. My family never knew I had the fairy tale curse. I was forced to leave my kingdom so that I could come here to break my curse. Lucette, thinking to herself. He came to Angiel to break his curse? His eyes wander slowly to me, but then he focuses once more on the conversation. Karma. To answer your question, though, no, I do not believe my father would send help. He hasn't heard from me since I left a year ago, and he would most likely think me some kind of imposter unless I showed up at the kingdom's doorstep. Even then, he would have too many questions, and we would never get the help we were seeking in time. Garland. It seems we can't rely on them for help, then. Annis. We all turn to stare at Annis. Rumple. The fine Lady Annis has suddenly appeared in the March End. What magic is this? Annis. I actually just came back. I'm sorry for startling you all, but I found this, and I had to bring it back. Her smile fades as she pulls out a flyer for us to see. Lucette. An announcement? Delora. From the looks of it, 4 days from now, Alcaster will make a speech about the changes that are about to happen in Angiel. Rumple. Changes? That doesn't sound very promising. Delora. It means bad news, but it might be worthwhile to take a look. This may give us some insight into what's happening at the palace. Parfait. Hildir is still in hiding, but it seems very likely that she could be involved in all of this somehow. They could be plotting something special for that day. Jurian. Garland and I can go to the event then. We'll make sure not to stand out. Lucette. I am coming too. Waltz. Lucette. Lucette. I need to know what is happening. I cannot hide forever, Waltz. I will go, and I do not need anyone's permission to do so. Delora. Well, I guess you're technically the next queen, after all. Parfait. Delora, don't encourage her. Delora. We both know how stubborn she is. She won't stay put, even if we command her to. Delora looks at me and winks. Parfait lets out a heavy sigh. Parfait. Waltz and Karma will accompany her then. Waltz nods. Karma looks somewhat startled, but eventually nods as well. Delora. So, until that day comes, we all need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. I have been practicing my magic non-stop since the day we heard of Alcaster's speech. I continue to work on my barriers while also continuously attempting that one offensive spell Waltz tried to teach me. Waltz. Okay, remember what I told you. Focus your energy on the tips of your fingers until you feel the current flow through your veins. Lucette. Okay. Waltz. Good. Now try to cast the spell at me again. I stretch out my hand and imagine the energy gathering at my fingertips. I see sparks as I begin to cast the spell. Waltz. Good. Keep going. At the end of my casting time, I can feel the lightning snaking up and down my arms. Waltz. Now release it. I direct the spell at Waltz with as much strength as I can muster, but it barely touches his barrier before it fades away. I groan. Waltz. You're getting there, Lucette. The magic is weak, but it might still be able to paralyze someone for a time, so long as you hit them when they don't have a barrier up. Lucette. But the speech is tomorrow. I will not be able to master it by then. Waltz. You don't need to. Let's not assume things will be so bad. We're only going there to watch a speech. If that's all it is, you won't need your magic. The two of us continue to diligently work, but after a few more rounds, my arms are sore and my mind is foggy. Waltz calls it a day, and the two of us retire to our rooms for the night. Lucette. Silence. I have tossed and turned in my bed for what feels like an hour, but sleep still will not come. It has been almost a month since I last went into town, and it is impossible to not imagine the worst possible scenario for tomorrow. Lucette, thinking to herself, I will probably be awake until the sun rises. Silence. I turn to glance at the doll that Waltz gave me so long ago. She sits on my table, her glassy eyes staring back at me. Lucette. I wonder if he is already asleep. Maybe he can help me calm my nerves. Lucette. Waltz? There is only silence. Lucette, thinking to herself, maybe he is already asleep. I am about to leave when the door suddenly opens. Waltz, shocked. Lucette? Lucette. Hello, Waltz. Waltz. Let me guess. Couldn't sleep? I nod. Waltz. Come in, then. I sit on his bed and look around. My eyes shift to his table, where I notice a pile of sewing materials and an assortment of puppets. Lucette. You have been working on your puppets? Waltz. Yeah, I couldn't sleep either. It's been a while since I last did a show, but I want to make sure my puppets and materials are ready to go once this is all over. Lucette. Oh, I wonder if the power of Waltz's storytelling could help clear Lucette's name. Lucette. I am sure the children are looking forward to seeing your shows again. Waltz. Yeah. Silence ensues as Waltz sits down beside me with one of his puppets. He begins to slowly sew at one of the seams. Lucette, thinking to herself, the silence is deafening. He looks busy, but maybe I should say something. I'm gonna go with say something. Lucette. I am worried about what may happen tomorrow. Waltz. You think too much, Lucette. Lucette. I do. I stare at the puppets on his table. Lucette. When this is over, will you finally let me be your assistant? Waltz smiles and pats my head. Waltz. Yes. When this is all over, I'll give you the spotlight. I'm sure the children will love your puppet shows. Talking about what happens afterwards makes me feel normal. It gives me some hope. Hope that eventually everything will go back to normal. Lucette. I feel better now. Thank you, Waltz. Waltz. Oh, I'm not sure I even did anything. Lucette. You have just by being here with me. Waltz. You know I'd do anything for you, little star. Lucette. Little star. There's that nickname again. Waltz. Does it bother you? Lucette. No, I was just wondering where it came from. Waltz. Oh, right. I never told you the story, did I? Back when I was still your mother's apprentice, my life was dull and empty. Then you showed up. Your circumstances were the same as mine, but your light never faded. You became my hope in that dark place. My light. That is why I consider you my little star. I can only stare as Waltz smiles at me. Right now, all I want is to stay by his side, to stay within the comforts of his warmth. I look at him and a thought shifts into my head, tinting my cheeks pink. Waltz. What is it? Lucette. Can I stay with you tonight? Waltz. Shocked. What? Well... Waltz's face is tomato red. He looks shocked. Lucette. I can't? Waltz. It's not that I don't want you to, but I mean... He glances away and begins mumbling to himself. I suddenly feel dejected. Waltz. Don't make that face, little star. Waltz sighs. Okay, you can stay. Lucette. Really? Waltz. Yeah. Cuties. Oh my gosh, that's so cute! We both lay side to side in the bed, shifting only slightly. Lucette, thinking to herself. Waltz is especially stiff. I wonder why. I loop my arms around his waist and snuggle into the crook of his neck. Waltz tenses beneath me. Waltz. I feel like I'm being punished. Lucette. What? Waltz. Nothing. Lucette. Silence. Thank you for letting me stay. My room felt colder than normal tonight. I couldn't help thinking about tomorrow, and then about Father, and... My words trail off as I try to focus on Waltz's warmth. Lucette. Please, do not leave me as well, Waltz. Waltz. Silence. Lucette, look at me. I move back to look up at him. Waltz stares at me with an intensity that makes it difficult to look away. His features are illuminated by the soft moonlight, making them stand out all the more. My heart skips a beat. Waltz. I'm not going anywhere, Lucette. I will always be wherever you are. I promise to always protect you. I reach out to touch his cheek. Lucette. Thank you. He smiles at me before putting his arm around my waist and pulling me closer. I snuggle against his chest, taking in his warmth. I eventually fall asleep in his arms. Well, that was in fact probably a way nicer and calmer sleep than she would have had on her own, so. Today is the day. Everyone has been busy preparing for the speech. I was told to relax, and I have used the opportunity to move into the forest and get some fresh air. Lucette, thinking to herself, if only everywhere was as peaceful as this. Ophelia. Lucette? I turn around to see Ophelia slowly walking towards me, a hesitant smile on her face. Lucette. Ophelia. Ophelia. I'm sorry that I cannot be of much help during these distressing times. Lucette. You have already helped me enough, Ophelia. You supported Father when I did not. You have to stay safe, you and the others. Ophelia. You've truly changed. Ophelia takes my hands in hers and looks at me solemnly. Ophelia. Promise me you'll come back to us. I'll be praying that nothing happens today, but if it does, I beseech you to put your safety first. Lucette. Ophelia. Ophelia. I may not be your real mother, but you have always been my daughter. Lucette, shocked. Guilt floods through me. I have been cruel to her ever since she first came into our lives, and yet she still treats me so warmly. Lucette. I do not deserve your kindness after all I have done to you, Emmeline, and Rod. I am so sorry. Ophelia pulls me into a hug and smooths down my hair. Ophelia. That's all in the past now, dear. What matters now is the present. I nod and close my eyes. Lucette, thinking to herself. I missed out on so many things when I closed my heart up to everyone. I had always thought that I was alone, but I was wrong. Out loud. Thank you, Ophelia. Sir Alcaster's speech starts in an hour, and everyone is making last-minute preparations before we go into town. Ophelia, Emmeline, and Annis will stay behind, as Rod and Rumple volunteered to watch over them. Delora and Parfait left yesterday to attend a meeting with the fairies. Apparently, they found someone who holds important information about Mother and her plans. Emmeline approaches me, her eyebrows creased. Emmeline. Lucette, should you see your mother there, what will you do? Lucette. I haven't really thought about it yet. Jurian. We are bound to face her sometime soon. I know that she is your mother, Princess, but are you emotionally ready to face her? Lucette, shocked. I am taken aback by her question. Waltz. Jurian. I apologize for being blunt, but we all have to consider the worst possible scenario, don't we? I need to know that the princess is ready to face her. In a battlefield, one must not hesitate. Lucette. Silence. Jurian continues to look at me, waiting for my answer. I finally face her with determination. Lucette. I will face her, and I will stop her.
Alright. So this was mostly a preparatory chapter, it seems. So, like, the calm before the storm, as it were. So I thought it might be high octane, but, like, no. I appreciate it, honestly, because, like, I feel like Fritz's Route never stopped being high octane, whereas in this, it's really nice. Chapter 7 was a freaking roller coaster, and then Chapter 8 is like, okay, let's start making our preparations, and it's like a breath, it's the calm before the storm, like I said. So, and it's like, gives you a bit of a breather, and some cute moments between Lucette and Waltz, before what I presume will be ramping up into the real action. So yeah, so thank you so much, Johnny One Take, for hanging out and chatting, and thank you anyone who might have been lurking, and anyone who's watching this later. I appreciate you all very much, and hope that I will see folks next week for the second to last chapter. So, actually, wait, sorry, my bad. Not next week, the week after. Next week is my birthday, and so I have other plans. So I will not be streaming next week. But I will be streaming Monday the 23rd, and that will be Chapter 9, and then Monday the 30th should be Chapter 10, and then we will have finished Cinderella Phenomenon. After a year and several months. This is the longest game I have streamed by far. So, but yeah, so I'm excited. Alright, and other than that, I'll be back doing my usual, NES stream, which I'm currently playing Earthbound Beginnings, so I'll be doing that Friday at 1 p.m. Currently, whether we'll be doing a co-op thing Friday evening is up in the air, but, possible. And I probably won't do a Sunday stream this week, and I won't do a Monday stream, so after this Friday, I might not be streaming again until the following Friday, but yes! I will be back on Friday